Welcome back to the channel. I'm Phil, the Ordinary Watch Guy. I'm a very ordinary guy, but the watches are special. Today we're going to talk about the evolution of the watch industry and broadly how manufacturing and production credibility has become less dependent on where a watch comes from and how an industry that was once so focused on Switzerland is now a real global marketplace. Everyone knows Switzerland for a handful of things: skiing, banking, international neutrality, Swiss Army knives, cheese with holes, and of course, clocks and watches. Interestingly, Calvinists, the members of a reformed branch of the Christian church, espousing views that rested on great modesty, hello Bessie, and a rejection of the ostentatious, took steps to ban the wearing of jewellery. Watches then became a way to demonstrate wealth without flaunting it outside of the rules of the church. Of course, nobody today uses their watch to tell people that they're rich, right? I'm so glad we got over that. Fast forward about 400 years and basically Switzerland is still perceived, to a greater or lesser extent, as the epicenter of our fascination with watchmaking. This is despite the fact that the pocket watch was in fact invented by a clockmaker in Nuremberg sometime in the 16th century. The idea of having a Swiss watch is still thought to be a sign of quality, and certainly everyone wants a watch that is made in Switzerland more than they want a watch that is made in Taiwan. But despite this, things are shifting and changing. It's like the wine industry. Fine wine was once the preserve of France, and today we know that there are wonderful vintages from all over the world. In the 1960s and the 1970s, these wines were largely overlooked in favour of French brands. The Paris wine tasting of 1976 proved the quality of Californian wine through a blind testing where the Californian entries swept the awards. Not only did it prove the credibility of American wine, it shrugged off the snobbery that all good wine had to come from France. The point is this, however: there is some truth behind regional snobbery. I mean, France has a superb history of producing amazing wines. Great watches have been produced by generation after generation of great Swiss watchmakers and the companies that they founded there. But this being said, there's nothing innately in the soil of Switzerland that makes your watch company superior for being founded there, though. And in fact, there are some watches from Switzerland that personally I wouldn't touch at all. So now we look to other regions who produce amazing watches. One region that people are now very much alive to is Glashütte in Germany. This one tiny town in Saxony has just 7,000 people living there. And despite this, it's home to Erlanger and Söhne, Glashütte Original, Müller, Glashütte, and Nomos, to name but four of the amazing watch houses that can be found there. Incredible watches are available from Glashütte, from 1,000 to hundreds of thousands of pounds. Looking further afield, Japan is asserting itself within the craft of fine watchmaking. At one time easily shrugged off as the enemy of horology through cheap, reliable and mass-produced quartz pieces that nearly shut down mechanical watchmaking forever, Japanese watchmakers are now showing that they can do finer pieces too. While Japan still largely owns the market digitally through Casio, we're now seeing the finer aspects of Japanese craft, and we have been for a while. Grand Seiko are naturally knocking on the door of this video right here, and I'm an unapologetic fan of their incredible dials. But in the more niche areas of Japanese watch production, we find Kurono Tokyo perhaps more difficult to get hold of brand new than a Rolex, but thankfully less insane on the secondary market, with beautiful watches topping out in the region of about £5,000. What we're seeing from Germany leans into a typically efficient Bauhaus appeal with a funky pivot into colour and shape and design, and an occasional nod towards steampunk. With Japanese watchmaking, we see extraordinary dials, calligraphy, and cases that marry tradition with a sense of bold adventure looking into the future, and not to mention groundbreaking technology like spring drive. We are gradually coming to accept that movements from ETA are not intrinsically better than Japanese counterparts from Miyota and TMI Seiko. This isn't, at this stage of the evolving watch world, controversial or upsetting for most people to hear, unless you're part of the ultra-conservative Swiss watch empire, of course. Push harder and you start to see the thin end of the wedge. Chinese watches are now starting to rattle some cages too. Seagull will give you a classic take on a German-style Flieger watch, a 40mm watch that is 11mm thick with a sapphire crystal and an automatic movement for $259. And it's good. But you can tell that Seagull are growing into their confidence and their credibility is winning because they're also beginning to offer watches in the $1,000 space too. $1,000 for a Chinese watch? Well, at one time that would have been considered insane. The 1963 Panda Pilot is now something of a classic chronograph and it'll cost you $649. It's a great watch and I'd love to own one. So we look across to the Baltic states. Lithuanian-made Vostok watches are a bit much for my taste, but you can pick up an automatic watch with titanium case and bracelet built around a Seiko NH35 movement with a screw-down crown, 200 meters of water resistance and an exhibition case back for £499 MSRP. And these guys are not afraid to ask £1,000 for a watch either. Okay, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Yes, I think Vostok watches are ugly, but I also think that Hublot are ugly, and Richard Mille too. Part of the diversity of the watch market surely has to be that people are entitled to choose ugly watches at all price points. What happens if you have ugly watch tastes, but you don't have ugly watch money? You don't have to be rich to buy a genuinely repulsive timepiece. And at this part of the video, I might start to surprise people because turning away from the bold and brash presentation of the Lithuanian Vostok, I'm going to look for taste and subtlety from Australia. Yep, I'm going to stand by that. Australia offering up Nicholas Hacko. Absolutely damn serious. Total production is 50 to 100 watches per year, and the watches are not staying in stock, even at £4,000 as their asking price. But you can see why. Case back to numbered and inscribed. Dials are creative, but so tasteful. And you're getting modernity and vintage brought together in a delicious combination. The Damascus range offers unique guilloche dials, and no two dials are ever gonna be the same. Have any words ever made a watch enthusiast salivate more? Okay, so let's clarify what I'm saying here. I'm not suggesting that the days of Swiss watch appeal are over, but is there a stigma attached to picking up a watch that isn't Swiss? Does it somehow infer that you're cheaping out? Well, no, I don't think so. Not anymore. Even though the likes of Christopher Ward and Monta still need to make connections between themselves and Switzerland, in truth, it's a British company and a company from the United States of America who are breaking ground with genuinely high quality pieces. And for me, I don't need to believe that they're connected to Switzerland. And I'm sure that the connection between the company and Switzerland, those companies in Switzerland, is absolutely legitimate. In truth, the manufacturing base of most components in the watch industry is now outsourced to China, as most things are. Even if the watch is not assembled over there, that's just a reflection of modern economics. Assembly and finishing might be in Switzerland. Are we approaching a time when companies will simply let go of that connection altogether and proudly state they don't need it? A few big watchmakers have never needed to claim Swiss links, and I do glance back over to the Glashütte based houses and of course the Japanese. And don't get me wrong, the watches that are coming out of the great Swiss watchmakers like Longines and Tag, and higher up the feeding chain with people like Tudor, Breitling or Chopard, are still devastatingly tempting pieces. But without dropping any truth bombs or trying to offer any hot takes on the video, I'll be straight up and say I'd rather put a Corona Tokyo into my collection than a Hublot. And I don't care about the perceived costs or monetary values. With two watches side by side, it's not even a difficult choice for me. As things stand at this moment in time, I don't think I'd take anything in the world over an Lange & Söhne 1815 Rattrapante or Tourbillon. But do you care now if your watch is a Swiss watch? Are you willing to pay a premium to have the extra kudos of your watch being made by one of the long established Swiss companies? When you look at the watches coming from Monta and Christopher Ward as examples, do you see them as authentically Swiss watches? So how do you feel about where your watch comes from? Does it make a difference to you whether or not it's Swiss or has a connection to Switzerland? How do you feel about the connection that has been built between certain newer brands such as Christopher Ward or Monta and the Swiss watch industry? Do you think it makes any difference these days? And where's your next watch going to come from? Hit me in the comments below and let me know what you think about these things. Thank you for watching. Next week, I've got some really exciting stuff actually for you. I've got a new watch incoming. I've just bought a new watch and I have been bargain hunting. And I am so excited. This is going to land pretty soon in the next couple of days. And of course, I'm going to get that on camera for you and I'm going to show you what I've bought and also what my particular process is for when I am doing a bit of shopping and I'm looking to try to land a bit of a bargain. And let's do a bit of a video on that for you guys, and I'll be dropping that in the next week. So again, thank you very much for watching and for all the support that you've given. It's so great to have the new followers and the new subscribers coming on board all the time. Don't forget to comment and to like and to subscribe. It just helps. It gives me so much encouragement and also it just helps the channel to grow. Thanks ever so much. Let's see you in the next one. Cheers guys. Bye bye.